Going over to this document here, the Understanding by Design Curriculum Framework, this is printed out at everybody's table. You can read through this on your own, but some main points to pull from this document are that this bullet point here, effective curriculum development reflects a three-stage design process called backward design. And the 3 stages are stage 1, where you identify your desired results. Stage 2, you're going to determine acceptable evidence. And then stage 3 is your learning plan. So what are we going to do to get students to learn what we have in stage 1 identified as our standards and our learning targets? And then stage 2, how are we going to know that they've learned what we want them to learn? Okay, so that's why we're doing this backward planning. And for some people, it may be a little confusing, or it might not really mesh well with what you've been doing, because you have all these units that have been created that you might have been teaching for the last 5, 10, 15 years. But when you look at the standards and you say, this is what I want our kids to know, what they need to learn, based on those standards, you might have some gaps. So we want to make sure we have all of our standards covered, and it might mean that units change a little bit. Not to say that we're going to disregard any of our current units. We certainly want to take them into consideration. But it's important to look at the standards, look at your learning targets, figure out exactly how we're going to know students have learned them, and then determine what activities, what resources are we going to use to make sure our kids get there. At this point, I think everybody should probably be pretty well set and ready to start working on stage 1. Remember, if you look at this part of that stapled packet, the stage 1 desired results should not be differentiated from anybody who's teaching that class. So if it's biology, your stage 1 should have a curriculum with the standards identified for the month, the unit, the quarter, however your team decides to set up the pacing. Everybody should be working on that same time frame with the identified standards. When you get to your assessment evidence, stage 2, you can differentiate that in some regard, but we will have our 4 common assessments. Those are going to be a secondary step. We're going to primarily focus on our curriculum maps, but eventually the goal is to have 4 common assessments per grade level for content areas. The learning plan should be differentiated. That's where, as the teacher in the classroom, you can decide exactly how you want your kids to learn whatever it is that they're supposed to be learning in that time. If anybody has questions, I am going to be bumping around from all the different rooms. You have administrators in every room. We're all on the same page. But if you need help, I'm absolutely here to help you. Some of the English language arts teachers who were in the summer workshops, they will also have a little bit more experience with this and be willing to help you. And hopefully it'll be a good day. I feel like we should look at something fun like puppies. Okay, now that everybody's really excited, let's get to work. Okay, I have to stop.